In his usual Wednesday spot, ladies and gentlemen, Kurt Warner. Good to see you, Kurt. How are you?
Kurt, let's go.
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
What's your opinion of the move that Kevin Stefanski made, sir? What do you think about Flacco out, Dillon Gabriel in? What do you think?
I think most of us felt like it was just a matter of time, that the future of their franchise wasn't Joe Flacco, even though he was the best quarterback, obviously coming in. And I think he's played well at times. I don't think he played very well on Sunday, with the record where it is. And, I think I've heard a few people talk about it. They've got some draft stock in the first round next year where they could get a quarterback if one of those guys is the right guy. I'm not sure watching college football who that right guy is, to pick high in the draft quite yet. But if they want to do that, they got to figure out these two guys that they drafted this year, if one of them can be their guy or can be their guy for a while until they find that right guy that they think can take over. And so, again, if they started out hot, Joe would have obviously kept the seat. With some of the struggles that they've had with where their record is, I don't think this surprises anybody that Dillon's going to get his shot. If he plays well, I think he'll obviously hold on to the seat. If he doesn't play well, I would not be surprised if Shedeur at some point gets an opportunity as well, just to say, hey, let's empty this thing and let's see who is our best guy, and if one of these guys can be a franchise quarterback, or if we've got to make another move.
What'd you see from Jaxson Dart on film as Dart became the first quarterback from the rookie class to win a game in the NFL? He's 1 for 1 now, and against the Chargers defense, that's no joke, as you know, Kurt. What'd you make of Jaxson Dart's first appearance?
Yeah, I mean, if you just break down the X's and O's, it wasn't a great performance. Made some throws, missed some things. But I think you could feel the spark that he gave this team. And, you never can really quite put your finger on, okay, what was that? The first drive, they take the ball all the way down, they score, he runs it in, he makes a couple big runs in there. And I think those big runs energized people. Why their defense play so much better this week than they have. Those are things that you can't explain other than they're fired up to have him for whatever reason, whatever he brings to the table. And you could feel that, even just me watching the all 22, I felt like it was a different team out there. And like I said, it wasn't great, just from, quarterback play, but he gave him a couple big plays in the game, a couple big runs, some things to excite the fans. And so I think it was obviously a great, first outing that you don't play great, but you energize your team and you get a win against a 3-0 team. That's exactly how you want to start, and there's a lot of room for improvement.
Kurt Warner here on the Rich Eisen Show. As you know, we're always looking for corners to be turned, sir. Have the Chiefs turned it? Have the Chiefs turned the corner? Kurt Warner.
You know what? I want to say yes, and solely because of the fact of how they played this game. We covered the first game in Brazil, and I talked about it a lot. Like, it didn't look like the same Chiefs team, just from the standpoint is they weren't running RPOs. They weren't throwing a lot of their quick throws, and supplementing their run game with that kind of play. And that had really been their MO for the last couple years, is they couldn't push the ball down the field. So it was a lot of quick throws. That was their run game, yards after catch. And we just didn't see that early. And maybe it was because, as we talked to Andy Reid, there was a big package for Xavier Worthy, and he goes out in the third play. And so maybe they didn't have anybody that they could plug in and run those plays. But when I popped on the tape this past week, it looked like the Chiefs to me. There was a lot more RPOs and those quick throws to supplement that run game and to use Patrick's ability to get defense out of position and then just make those quick throws. A lot more wide receiver screens. And then they got some big plays down the field. But that to me is the Chiefs offense. And I finally saw it again. And so maybe it is because Xavier Worthy is back. We know Rashee Rice is a couple weeks away, and he adds that piece as well. And so I feel really good about where they are after that performance against the Baltimore Ravens. And I know a lot of people expected the Ravens to win that game just because of better roster across the board. But they dominated that football game, and they were doing what I expected the Chiefs to do all year long. So I do believe they have turned the corner and gotten back to, maybe not a perfect formula, but the formula that was a winning formula for them a year ago.
And then the corner in Houston has C.J. Stroud and that offense turned it, 26-0 win over the Titans, in which Stroud was 22 for 28 with a passer rating just a little north of 125. Have the Texans and Stroud turned a corner? Kurt?
No, I'm going to say no. I was watching that film and I kept asking myself, they won 26-0, right? Like, where's this offense? Where is it at? I thought it would be more explosive than it was. And so, the numbers were good. I still think they have issues there. I'm still trying to put my finger on, what's going on with CJ. And again, the numbers were good. And sometimes you have those performances, but I can't shake the first 3 weeks of the season out of my head quite yet. There was a lot of struggles. CJ just doesn't look like the same player that he was as a rookie, just awareness, seeing things, getting the ball out of his hands. So I'm not ready to say that they've turned a corner quite yet. I think they played a Titans team that really struggles offensively, and that's why it looked like it did. I'm going to need to see some of that against a better football team.
Okay, so have the Falcons turned a corner offensively? Have we found something with Penix that they were able to uncork on Washington, Kurt?
Yeah, here's another one that I'm not quite sure. I'm starting to wonder because I thought they looked really good in week 1 of the season, and I thought, man, Michael Penix looks really good, and this team could be something to reckon with because of all their weapons. And then we go 2 weeks where he doesn't look very good, and then he comes back and he looks really good again this 4th week. And so for me, consistency is the name of the game at the quarterback position, and that means seeing it. That means being able to work through things when your first read's not open and being able to find the next guy. That's how you have to play the position. There are going to be some games where the number 1 read is open quite a bit, and you just have to drop back and throw it. And most of these guys that are starting in the NFL can drop back and throw it. And so I can't just take one game where things just kind of worked out pretty favorably for them and say, okay, they've turned the corner. I think they've got a very simple offense. They run a lot of these choice routes and things every single week, a lot of the same concepts over and over again. And when those things are open, team looks pretty good. When those things aren't open, they don't look very good. And so I have to see some more evolution here. And I've got to see Michael work through some things beyond just his first read and those guys getting open before I'm ready to say that this offense has turned the corner. They've got lots of talent, and we see what they're capable of. We've seen it a couple times this year, what they're capable of. But then you wonder, how do you have a Carolina game where you can't put any points on the board and you struggle? So again, not ready to say they've turned the corner. Obviously, it was a great performance on Sunday, but I need to see more consistency there.
Kurt Warner here on the Rich Eisen Show. Kurt, you're the perfect guy to ask so many questions with your Hall of Fame resume and your QB Confidential YouTube page. But this one, I think, is particular. You're the perfect person to ask about this because it involves passing concepts and a Bible verse. Like you're an expert on all of these, okay? A.J. Brown tweeting out a Bible verse about patience, essentially, after another minimal target game, to say the least. What are you seeing about this Eagles passing game that is a problem, and what do you think A.J. Brown should do other than just staying patient? Kurt, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one because we understand the formula that Philly has, and that's to run the football, and then when a team wants to take away the run, give you one-on-one on the outside, and A.J. Brown's as good as anybody in the league when he gets one-on-one situations to just go and play pitch and catch out there. And so that's what they do. And so we saw it a couple weeks ago, against the Rams. They struggled in the first half, but when they were forced to throw it, they could feed A.J. Brown on the outside, and he has a big game. And so that to me is a formula that's worked really, really well for them. In that formula, though, when teams aren't doing that and they're not extending an extra guy and they're not leaving A.J. Brown one-on-one, it becomes a lot harder for them to get him the football in those situations. And so, I think the remedy would be to move him around and do some different things with him and find ways to kind of focus on him early in games. But again, the more you move him around, the less you have him out there in those one-on-one situations when you want him. I think a lot of Cincinnati, when Joe Burrow's playing, it's almost like every time they get Jamar Chase one-on-one on the outside, those two guys just connect. They just throw it to him some way, shape, or form. It's just like nobody's better than him. We will throw it to him every time we get one-on-one. So we want to keep him out there. But then you get Jake Browning in there, and you're like, okay, we can't play the same way, so let's move him around. But then you don't get that guy on the outside when you want to take those shots. And T. Higgins is a good player, but if you watch Monday night, all their shots down the field were T. Higgins, and they weren't Jamar Chase. And so I think that's the fine balance that you have to play, is that we know where we want him and we know where he's best, but we would love to use him more. So how do we balance this out with moving him around, making him the focal point of a passing game, throwing it a little more early to get him some touches, instead of just going, hey, we're going to leave you out there, and if the defense dictates it, we'll throw it to you. But if they don't, we're not going to throw it to you, and you're going to just have to deal with it. And so that, to me, is the wrestling match, I think, with a lot of teams, but with the Eagles right now. And again, they're 4-0. So the formula continues to work, even though it doesn't look pretty. And that will be, I think, the wrestling match all year long, with what do we want to do? How do we want to do it? AJ's really happy one week, and then he's not happy, and he's sending scriptures the next week. And so I just feel like that's going to be what they do, just because that's been the formula that's worked for him.
So it's the first 15 scriptured? Is that what you're saying right now for him? Has he got 14 more? He's got 14 more to go, or is the passing game going to get better, Kurt? You know what I mean?
The question is, those first 15 scriptures, are they talking about patience, or are they talking about aggressiveness and feeding him? I don't know which one it is. So we'll have to see each week.
Okay, very good. Kurt Warner here on the Rich Eisen Show, and then you alluded to the Ravens earlier, Kurt. Looks like we're going to see Cooper Rush for at least the next 2 weeks. They've got to bye 3 weeks from now. Joe Flacco is out, and Dillon Gabriel is going to be a raw rookie starting in an international setting. Joe Burrow's out until at least December. And Aaron Rodgers chilling on a bye week at 3-1. So the Steelers appear to be set up right now. What about what you're seeing, what we saw from them on NFL Network in Dublin moving forward? Kurt, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on game day, and I didn't think the Steelers were a contender based on what I had seen the first few weeks of the season. Boy, they looked really good, in this game in London. And, it starts with their defense, defense being able to slow down the run, but get turnovers and do the things that they have been doing on the back end that just feeds into their offense. I still feel like their offense has a way to go, that they got the big play to DK, that 80-yard touchdown. But that was actually on a busted coverage by Minnesota. And again, no fault of the Steelers. You take advantage of mistakes that defenses make, of course. But outside of that, it was still a lot of the short dink and dunk type stuff. Now, can they live in that world if their defense is taking the football away and doing the things that they do? Well, yeah, they can. But I still believe that this offense is going to have to take a big jump in either being able to run the football better or developing more of a passing game to really be a threat in the AFC. But right now, I don't want to say by default, because they've earned their wins, but they're sitting in a great spot right now, looking down at teams that are having quarterback issues. And then, of course, the Ravens, who are reeling a little bit and haven't kind of found their footing and figured it out. And as you said, possibly without their quarterback for a couple of weeks. So they've got to be feeling pretty good right now. But if I was the Steelers, I wouldn't be sitting back and saying, oh, okay, after the London game, we've got this figured out. They've still got room to grow on offense for sure.
All right. Through your film study, as you always do for NFL Game Day Morning and calling games for Westwood One, and then, of course, QB Confidential, your terrific YouTube channel, which quarterback had the best performance in week 4 that you saw, Kurt?
I'm going to give you 2 this week,
okay.
Rich, and I'm going to give you Dak Prescott from Sunday night.
Okay.
With all the issues they've got around him, he just continues to be that steady force. And what I love about him, and a little bit different than the other guy I'm going to talk about, is he's making big plays down the field. I think besides Matthew Stafford, he's got more 20-plus yard chunk throws this year than anybody in the NFL. And that, to me, has been what's been the difference. Struggling defense, run game's okay, but it's been the big plays on the right arm of Dak Prescott. And so, to bring his team back and, I know it's not a win, but to get that tie in that game when nobody expected them to be in it, he gets my nod. And then the second guy is going to be Patrick Mahomes, who had struggled, mightily throughout the first 3 games of the season. Some him, some the guys around him, but really came back into form, 4 touchdowns. And as I said earlier, they were playing their brand of football, the things that they do, quick throw, quick throw, quick throw, and then Patrick making a few of those special throws down the field in this game. And so I thought he looked really, really good this week. And so those are my top two guys from the film study.
Yeah, I mean, and then so you did mention Stafford. I mean, he and Nacua are connecting in such a way. Honestly, there's some numbers that make it you to Isaac Bruce. I'm serious. There are some Rams numbers that they are threatening from your greatest show on turf based on how he's come out of the box this year, Nacua.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they broke any of those. I mean, I was fortunate to have a whole bunch of guys. Right. And not that Matthew doesn't have a couple guys. I mean, Devontae's awesome and Puka's awesome too. So he's got a couple guys to feed as well. But their offense goes through Puka Nacua. I mean, you know, everything that they do, they move them around. You get them one-on-one. I mean, and there's such great confidence with Matthew Stafford and Puka. I mean, the catches that Puka makes on a weekly basis is amazing. I mean, diving catches, going low into coverage and bodies all around him, and his ability to run after catch. I mean, he is awesome. I mean, he is a really, really good player. And what I love too, it reminds me a little bit of an Anquan Bolden, where you watch him play and you don't look at him and like everybody wants to look at these measurable traits. You don't watch him and go, wow, that guy's the biggest or the fastest or the quick. Like, you don't see that. He's just a football player. He just knows how to get open. He understands what Matthew is seeing and how to use his body and how to find the open spots. And because of that, these guys can work so well together. And Matthew can take some chances with Puka that he might not take with somebody else because he's got such great trust in his ability to play the game. And, so when I watch all the film every week, he always jumps off as one of the best football players in the National Football League, regardless of measurable traits. He is so much fun to watch, and the way these guys are working together is really, really special.
Yeah, I mean, Nacua started the game in third place behind Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce for the most catches in the first 3 NFL seasons of their careers. The entirety, right? Okay?
Yeah.
And he surpassed both Holt and Bruce in the game. And he now has 13 more games to play in his third NFL season. Kurt.
Okay. I mean, you got to let me defend my guys.
No, I'm not criticizing. I'm just talking about how great he is.
First and foremost, right? They were on opposite sides, so they had to battle that. Okay. Second thing is, come on now. This is a whole different NFL.
Okay.
I mean, Puka gets 5 catches a week at the line of scrimmage. We didn't do that back in the day. Our guys were getting the catches down the field. So it is a different NFL. As great as Puka is, and I'm not diminishing how great he is.
Right.
I just don't, it's a different era when you're trying to go stat to stat, catch to catch.
Right.
It was just played completely different when my guys were out there versus where they are now.
Yeah, this is the Rams record book. He needs 98 more catches to tie Justin Jefferson for the most catches in the first 3 games, first 3 seasons. So as we all know, Justin Jefferson is a contemporary. Kurt, thanks for the time. Really greatly appreciate it as always. We'll see you. I guess in London is when I'm going to see you next.
I won't see you this weekend,
Fantastic.
But I will see you in London. Can't wait to call those games.
That's right. Kurt Warner and I will be calling Jets, Broncos, and Rams, speaking of Rams, and Jaguars in London over the next 3 weeks. Good to see you, Kurt Warner, right here on the Rich Eisen Show.